Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gaming Duo podcast. I'm your host for this week, Rob Garcia, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, the magnificent, marvelous, good-looking
Oh, jeez.
Kelvin Rolon.
Hello,
What's up,
hello.
dude?
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you? I feel like we had a week. We had a weekend.
We had a fucking weekend, man. It was
Yeah,
great. It was freaking great. I loved it. We'll talk more about it, but it
we
was
will.
great. I was exhausted. That's all I'll say.
I mean, rightfully so. They would be exhausted because we did a lot of things like go to PAX East, go to Connecticut GamerCon. So I'm glad that we're at our normal program schedule. It's
Yes.
very nice. So happy to be here. But anything new happening with you, Kelv? Anything new in your life?
New in my life? No, I just been, just trying to tackle these videos that I've been
Right. Yes.
trying to take out. We obviously we got a lot of content from PAX, and so time is
Of the
hard to come
essence.
by. Yeah, time's of the essence right now. So I'm just trying to post the videos. I'm trying to edit these videos to then post them on social so that people can see, what we did, because it was not only fun for us, but it was actually productive in a sense, right? Where we actually learned and interviewed other developers out there, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was an interesting experience. More about that in a little bit because we do want to go into some discussion about that.
Mhm, mhm.
Tell me what you're playing. Are you playing anything cool? Is there anything that's on your list right now, or are you just the
I
backlog is so overwhelming that you can't even get
The
to it?
backlog is just continuing to get
Mm,
backlogged. It, excuse me. I am also just coming off of a cough right now, so a little
coming
cough,
off a cold. You get a little
a
cold.
little cold.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been rough. I purchased. I told you I purchased Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
I haven't even touched it. I haven't even played it. I haven't even like turned on my PS5 after I bought it. So yeah, so that's sitting there. Still haven't finished Fusion. It's a 4-hour game, for God's sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
you
the
should
fun
be
of
able
my
to beat
life,
that in like a day. Realistically, if you
realistically.
think about it, you could beat that, right? But
And there was another game. Oh, the Bayonetta game, the one for Switch that I
oh,
wanted to
the
try.
Cereza and the Lost Demon, or whatever it's called.
I definitely want to continue trying that, or getting my hands
Yeah.
on that. So I'm still trucking along here, but I'm going to finish Fusion, and I'm going to move on to Resident Evil. Dabble with that alongside Bayonetta.
Do you wish you kind of got Resident Evil Remake for your Steam Deck now, or do you still want to be on your PS5?
No, I want it on my PS5. I
Okay.
think it's a good fit for my PS5. One thing that I was thinking about playing on my Steam Deck
Ooh,
was, and I tweeted out to Onyx, shout out to Onyx, but I was like, can you play Final Fantasy 14 on Steam, on like Steam Deck? And he said yes. And I was like, that really
ooh,
spiked my interest on at least trying it, attempting it on Steam Deck and seeing how it is.
that
That
tickled
would
you,
be,
huh?
I feel like that'd be a good game, like a cool, easy, like maneuvering around, just kind of playing that game on the go. I think that'd be nice to try it out.
Have you played an MMO before?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
not to the extent that you have.
I don't really play MMOs, honestly. I don't really play them. I don't touch them. MOBAs I've played,
I play
obviously,
mobiles, but
League. Mhm.
okay,
Nah,
okay, all right, fair enough.
yeah. But only because you're only always connected online. So I'm curious to see how the Steam Deck will handle that. Like on the PC, you can like just log in, you go into the launcher and you log in. I wonder how it works on Steam when you
Mm,
log in into the game. I'm curious how that is on handheld
yeah,
mode.
I don't think I see myself. Again, Steam Deck is not the best option to kind of go outside of your house with, but
Right.
I can, like, the fact that I can just play on my couch, play
Exactly.
in the bed. Like, I think that's what I'm talking about more.
Cool.
What about you, sir?
I beat Zero Mission on my Steam Deck. I emulated it, and that is the remake of Metroid, the original.
Hmm.
Really good. Definitely, you could tell that where what's the game you're playing? Prime,
Yeah.
where it gets it from, because there's a lot of back and forth. You're going back
Mm,
and forth throughout the level. It's not like Fusion. Fusion's like little dot that says go here, go here, go here. This game, it says go here, then go here, then go here. But you got to go back up here, then you got to go do this thing, and there's a little block over here somewhere you can find and go this way. It's very very. It's a different experience. I will say that. But I'm having a blast. I beat it. It was great. I'm happy. I'm getting more into the Metroid lore. I want to play Prime. I think that probably will be the next one that I get.
Yeah, I think you'll. I mean, you've played it, but did you beat it?
Never beat it. I never beat Prime.
Okay.
So, I think that's the next one on my list to play. But I got to get the remastered version because I want to get those updated controls. And I heard it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Like the game's really good looking.
It is worth the $40 that you spend.
Yeah. And then I'm playing obviously Resident Evil 4 remake. I haven't got as much time with it as I want with the game, and I just I want to just like blow through it again, like how I am with games. But this one, I'm actually taking my time with it, which is very very strange for me. It's a new thing, so
that's good. That's good. You need to enjoy it for what it is. I think the gameplay alone, the graphics, everything about it just screams like I'm just having fun. I'm here for the fun. I'm here for the ride. So
it's a beautiful game. It's basically Resident Evil 2, but like not as restrictive. They just like say do whatever, like they still have a little bit of that scariness to them, that scariness factor, which I appreciate, but it's definitely geared more way actiony, like super action.
But that's what started the whole trend for Resident Evil, right? Resident Evil 4 was the pivot for them to kind of be more on the action side of things.
Yeah, I think 3 kind of was like the point to where like they were the bridge, I guess, from like they still had the tank controls, and then that's when they shifted to like behind the back and what we know today. So very cool stuff. And I think that's pretty much it on my plate for games. I play Shadow Hearts on my can you hear my stomach? Damn, that was a loud ass grumble.
That was your stomach?
You heard it? You heard it?
I heard something. I thought you hit the table.
No, that was my stomach.
Jeez, go get some food, bro.
No, I think it's something I ate. I think it's something I ate. I ate
use bathroom. I can hold it down for a little.
Was it the chocolate milk? I don't know, dude. When you get older, like your stomach,
nothing stays in your stomach.
Yeah, it's like so picky now. Like you could eat it and it tastes good, but then after, like, did that agree with me? Is it okay? You good with that?
Yeah, dude. I just finished taking a shit before I started.
Nice. That's good job.
So I'm good.
I took a shower before I got on the podcast, and I want to show you something here. I want to show you something. All right, we got the while we were at PAX, my girlfriend got me the this Lush
it's
shower
much
gel.
smaller than I thought.
Yeah, it's very small. You guys can see it. I feel like one of those bitches on the fucking makeup tutorials. That's what I'm doing right now. Like, look at this is what you're doing. Here you go. You squirt it into your hand. You rub it all over your fucking face. Yeah. But yes, and it's pretty good. It smells like green apple.
Okay.
It's solid. It's fun. It's green. I'm like rubbing. I did feel kind of weird using this though.
How so?
So I'm fine lathering my body, right? I'm going through the body. Then I get to my balls.
Does it start tingling?
No, I thought of Luigi.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I'm literally lathering my nutsack in Luigi shower gel.
Luigi, yeah.
Yeah. So I felt a little weird when I was doing that. I was like, I'm rubbing myself in Luigi right now.
Hey, man. Do you smell like Luigi, though? You know what I mean?
I smell like green apples right now. Okay. So, yeah.
Gotta get in there, man.
They have a Mario one, and they also have like a peach weird. It's not shower gel. It's in the bathroom. Jess got it for herself, but they got a peach something for your fucking coochie. I
don't know. Did she feel weird when she was rubbing herself with the whole peach thing, or is that
no? Because I told her about it. Like when I was in the bathroom, I thought about Luigi. And she was like, "Yeah, well." She was like, "You're weird because like didn't think anything about it with Peach." And I'm just like, "Yeah, but like he's just look at him, he's right there. Like that's like
I like that it's the Super Mario Bros. Luigi, right? It's like
the one. It's the Charlie Day one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
So,
well, thank you for that story. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime, guys. Anytime.
Also, I love the shirt.
Oh, thank you. You guys can.
Where'd you get
that? It's a little place called thegamingduo.com. And if you go there, you could go on our merch store and you can buy this nice long sleeve shirt.
Now, is that from our store currently? Like the one that
Yeah, there's
we
one
have?
on there. It's not the it was the first one. It was Stream Elements,
Okay,
but
I wanted to see how that felt, so
yeah,
that's why I asked.
yes. But please go buy it at our store. It's fantastic. It feels nice. It's comfy. It's very good material. It's breathable. Ball Luigi. Yes, Ball Luigi. Yes,
Ball
that is.
Luigi, love it, love it, love it.
What else I was gonna say, man? That's all you're playing. You're done. You're
That's
done.
it, man.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
want to put any more on my plate because I can't. I don't have time.
Okay.
I will get to a point where I have enough time to
Yes.
play the games that I need to play. You know what I mean? I will get there.
If you quit your job,
Yes,
you have enough time.
it's a great idea. If I quit my
Yeah.
job,
Yes.
just say fuck it. You know what I mean? Forget
Fuck
the
it.
bills
Fuck it.
and just play games.
Guys, we're gonna take a little bit of time before we jump into the gaming news. There's a lot of stuff we got to talk about before. I mean, a lot of housekeeping stuff. I hope you guys will stick around and just listen to us. I feel like this is almost your favorite part when me and Kelvin banter about this shit. But let's talk about PAX East.
Okay.
We went there this past weekend to the Boston Convention Center, and me and Kelvin were official, and we had our microphone, and we had our crazy camera set up with our gimbal, and
yep.
we decided we wanted to interview developers at PAX East. If you guys don't know what PAX East is, it is a indie geared developer show, convention, type of convention. We went in and we were able to interview these developers. We literally went up to them and we're like, hey, I want to interview you for your game. And they're like, okay, let's do it. So, Kelv, I want your perspective. What did you think of the whole experience? If you want to talk about that.
Are we getting into the in-game chat, or this is like how deep are we getting into this? Because
Just like a little bit of like just overall like experience, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty. Just like a quick like 2 second, just like it was fun.
yeah, this was hands down the best PAX we've ever been to.
Okay.
Since this is our first time going in there as the gaming duo, and it was an experience because we were able to do what we did. Right, we were able to kind of. First off, when we walked in there, I just thought it was boss as hell because we had our stuff, we had our gear, and we were like going into the media line, right? I'm like, oh, Rob, you're going to the wrong line. Like you're supposed to be going to this line. He's like, don't worry, we'll try it. We'll see what they say. I'm like, here comes Rob, fucking trying to get us kicked out of here now. And literally, like we walked in there, and the security guards did not even look at us. They were like, oh, you guys have gear. You guys must be important. And we just walked right in. Like we passed the whole entire line that was there because it was a huge line. Granted, it was moving, but we just went right in. And I thought that was boss. I thought that was cool. I thought it was like really, really awesome. And then once we got in there, man, it was just kind of like a blur because I feel like we just did so much. So
yeah, let's talk about that blur for our in-game chat to actually get into nitty-gritty details. I just kind of want to give you guys like stick around for that store because it's a really good, it's really fun, our experience there. Before we get into the gaming news, though, guys, there are some changes that will be happening to the podcast. We still will be doing the podcast. We are still the gaming duo. We'll still be doing podcasts. But just like with everything, there's times where you have to grow, times where you have to pivot and make changes, right, to see growth. And this is that time for us. We've been doing the gaming news for a very long time, for about, what did you say, 2.5 years at this point, Kelf?
About 2.5 years.
Yeah, and I know you guys really enjoy this stuff. I know, but the thing with the gaming news is that with me and Kelvin's schedule, we both of us still work full-time jobs. Kelvin has a family. He has a son and daughter, and that takes a lot of his time. So it's very, very hard to stay up to date and give you guys the most up-to-date news. Like I said, you need to hit that every single day, and for us it's just not feasible, and we're not doing justice by giving it to you once a week. But we are going to pivot into a different direction, and we're still going to have these conversations about games. It's just going to be more curated about particular topics in mind. We will still talk about some news that'll pop up in there. Like a lot of the topics will be revolving some of these new pieces, but it's going to be a lot more of a more thoughtful conversation, and we'll actually put the video on YouTube, and you'll still be able to participate and stuff like that. We'll still do some form of lives at one point. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet. But that is the changes that are going to be making. We'll still have the podcast out. It's just like I said, will be more of a curated episode. Anything you want to add to that, Kel? Do you think I covered it pretty good?
Yeah, you nailed it. I think, like you said, you there's times where you need to grow, right?
Yeah.
This is our time to, and we've done so many things. If you guys have been following us since day one, we've grown so much, right? And we've changed so many things, but we want to continue growing. We want to continue giving you guys the best content that we could possibly give you. And so what we do now is pivot to a point where, okay, we see that the gaming news, we can't really strike those gaming news articles or strike those gaming news content pieces every single time. Like when the Breath of the Wild thing, or I'm sorry, the Tears of the Kingdom 10-minute announcement showed up, like we were at work, right? We can't do anything about that. And so it's not the time for us to do it. And so we think it's best for us to kind of change that format and give you more of like what we do with in-game chat, just a little bit more focused and more detailed, a lot more informative content. I think it's going to be what we're leaning towards. It's going to be more, obviously we're going to still banter between what we think and our thoughts and all that stuff, but it's going to be more informative. It's going to be more of like, hey, this, I gained something from this, as opposed to, oh, I see where your perspective is. It's going to still be there, but I think we're going to be leaning more towards that direction.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to result, I think, better content for you guys. Like, there might be a game that you didn't really think about that you wanted to really listen about. For example, like me and Kelvin don't really play Diablo like that much, but there could be an episode where we kind of like take a deep dive into Diablo 4 and why, you know, we take a look into the series as outsiders and our perspective. And maybe you really vibe with Diablo 4, you would love to hear that. So things of that nature will be happening. So
so this is our last like live.
Yeah.
This is it. This is our last live video for quite some time until we do something else. But next weekend or next week will be our first pivot towards the new direction.
Yeah, so definitely keep up to date with the podcast, like on your favorite streaming service. It'll still be up. You'll still be able to hear us. We'll still have our faces up on the videos because we'll be uploading YouTube videos. And that's the other thing. What we're losing in like a live video, we'll actually be gaining in an actual video you can watch on YouTube, where it'll be edited and have a lot more
more clean, more
it'll be more clean
focused.
cut. Exactly. So this isn't goodbye. This is just we're just changing it up. That's all. So
for the better. That's all.
Exactly for the better. And then if you guys have any ideas that you guys want to hear from us, or perspectives, or conversations you want to hear, or topics, let us know. Like, just tweet at us, message us, however, come to knock at my door, my house, and sit. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Discord's cool.
So that is the changes to the podcast. Anything else before we head into the rapid fire news?
Yeah, because this is the last live.
Don't cry, Kelf. Don't cry, please.
Not gonna
Please
cry. No,
don't cry.
I just want to thank everybody that actually participated in our live streams, and again, Chazzy in the chat right now. Take it easy, Jono. The whole Elder Scrolls podcast. Thank you guys. Birdie, Yoshi T. So many people
Everyone.
that came in and just participated and really just put their input and just vibed with us, just hung out with us. I think we really appreciate it. So thank you guys, appreciate it. But again, it's not a sad goodbye. It's just like we're just changing it up a little bit. That's all. So
that's it. We'll still have the podcast we'll still have it on the streaming services. So it'll just be, again, we started this beginning of this year. Maybe we started doing the lives, something like that. So it's not much different than what we did before. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's go into rapid fire news. The Wii U and 3DS shop is now officially closed. You can't purchase any more items on that, so those games are forever sealed away into Nintendo Land or wherever they go, or Locker. I don't know where the fuck Nintendo stores them, but that's where they go. What is very, very surprising is shortly after this. Do you know what the Dolphin emulator is, Kelvin?
Yeah, I remember it back in the GameCube era. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what the Dolphin is, it is a GameCube and Wii emulator that you can download on your whatever PC. you can actually, it's coming to Steam, which is weird.
Oh, okay.
So an emulator that emulators are pretty illegal. Like in the essence, like what the emulator itself isn't illegal, but the things you put in the emulator can be illegal. And Dolphin specifically for GameCube and Wii is going to be on Steam.
So you're able to purchase this emulator?
I think it's gonna be free. I think you just download it, and then all you have to do is just take the things and put them in the thing, and you get to play GameCube games and Wii games, and it's through Steam. It's weird.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Is it really illegal then at this point? You know what I mean?
Right. So guys, you could be able to freaking emulate your GameCube games and Wii games onto your Steam Deck relatively easy right through Steam. You don't have to go through the desktop mode and do all that fun stuff. The Elite Xbox 2 controller will be offered in 2 new colors, red and blue.
Oh,
kind of weird.
That's cool.
It's kind of a weird announcement though. Like they have black, white. Now they have red and blue.
Well, they definitely have the red and blue, but just not for the pro controllers.
Yeah, now they do. Now that's
they
what
do.
this is.
Which I mean, I don't see it that word.
Are you gonna get them?
I got my black one. It's good.
Chadsy says, I use Dolphin to this day. I don't think Nintendo is going to be okay with this. Well, they should think about their actions before they do them and how it affects their player base because they want to play their freaking games. So, yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If you've purchased any games from the Wii U or 3DS shop, you could still play them, correct?
Yes, if they are on your console, on your hard, yes, then you have access to it forever. But if you
it's not like some weird like online thing where like,
just like pull the plug.
Like
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a Persona 4 mobile game shows off 4 different characters. It's called Persona 5 The Phantom X is the name of the game, and it's a mobile game, but it looks like it might be a Chinese exclusive, which is kind of a bummer if that's the case.
Is it?
I think it is. I read on here, I pulled up the article here on the official Megami Tensei fandom.com. Let's see. It says it was originally announced under the Atlas codename X in April 2021, only to be reannounced as P5X 2 years later. It is currently unknown if it will be released outside of China.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, it just says they don't know if it's going to come out.
Know.
They don't know. Right, exactly. We don't know. But the thing is, usually when games come out in China, it's pretty tough to get them here because of
how much longer do you think Atlas is going to continue making Persona 5 games?
It's a good question.
Like, when do you see them pivoting finally towards P6?
I feel like they already came out with the dance game for it.
Like we've done every genre, I feel like, except for the fight, except for like a 2D fighter, right?
Which I don't think they would do because there's just so many. I mean, they did it for P4 Arena Max, but that was taking it was great, freaking sick. I don't know if they would do it for here just because that space there's so many people or so many other games. I would imagine after this they're done. And let's be honest, Persona 6 is already in development. It has to be.
You think so?
The game came out, 2016?
But look at excuse me. Oh my gosh. Trying to not yawn, but
slap yourself. Just give yourself a slap. Come on.
But do you like? They've been working on so many games, P5 Royal, and then they've made countless other games that are kind of spin-offs of P5. Do you think they just have a separate team just working on P6 little by little until?
I think so. I think Persona has blown up because a lot more people know Persona through Persona 5 than they know like 4 or 3.
Right, yeah.
So I think now it's really popular. Like I know people that normally didn't play Persona 4. They're like, what the hell is Persona 4? But I know a shit ton more people have played Persona 5. So I think now people really want to see those games come out, and they have a big fan base, and it's going to be a moneymaker for them. So I think they're currently working on Persona 6. Plus, we need one for the PS5, right? We had one on PS2. We get this one on PS4. So, yeah, that'll be soon. But we'll see if that comes out after China. And that's it for the rapid fire news. Anything you want to add, Kelv, as far as quick news that you've seen or anything like that, or no?
No, 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 no. I think we're good.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to our first big news piece of the week. On Tuesday morning, we finally got an in-depth look of the Tears of the Kingdom gameplay. We received 10 whole minutes of the new mechanics in Tears of the Kingdom. The engine is largely unchanged. The game looks very, very similar to the first game. And this will be a continuation of Breath of the Wild, as everyone knows. Hyrule will be a different landscape. Will be different as the landscape changed due to a mysterious event that we don't know about yet. I don't know if something happens and it makes everything crazy. I don't know. There are islands in the skies known as Sky Islands. There's just floating islands. They just said, so it's interesting. It seems like you can travel to these Sky Islands in numerous of ways. So there's not just one way to get to it. They showed off the powers, which was basically the highlight of the gameplay trailer. The three powers they showed was recall. You can reverse time on an object. For example, if a rock is falling from the sky, you can hop on that rock once it hits the ground and go whoop, go up. That's one way you can reach a sky island. Pretty cool. Oh,
That was the only way they showed us, right?
that was the only way, but there are other ways to get up there. There's another power that was called Ascend, which is exactly what it sounds like. If there's a ceiling, you can go through it and come up on top. So in the trailer, they showed Link going in a cave, but above the cave, it was actually the bottom of a mountain. And he looked up in the roof of the cave and literally shot up and was on top of the mountain. Pretty wild. It looks like that's going to maybe there'll be less climbing involved, which will be kind of nice. Just like kind of a quick, because we've already seen Hyrule, right? We've already been there, done that. So maybe this is just a way to save time to just like be able to just go right up to where you need to be.
Yeah, it's a simpler way to traverse and move through the land and stuff. So
For sure. And then the last power, which is probably the most important power they showed off, was fuse. You can fuse items to create powerful weapons. For example, Link picked up a branch, and the branch by itself sucked as a weapon, but he saw a big boulder. He used his fuse power, combined the boulder with the branch, and was able to basically create a makeshift hammer, and it did way more damage. It also showed that you can make ice arrows with materials and also homing arrows with your materials that you pick up on the field. You can also fuse to create vehicles, so boats, floating platforms, and possibly cars. And then basically the last thing they showed was the weapon durability is back in the game. I know a lot of people had a little bit of gripes about the weapon durability and whatnot. There was not really any story elements that were shared with the game. It was simply just this gameplay. Calvin, all the information that we were shown. Did you see the trailer? Did you see the gameplay?
I did, yes.
Okay. What did you think?
I thought it was a very nice, clean 10-minute trailer. Did we need it per se? I don't think so. I think people
Okay.
they're gonna get this game. I get it. I see both sides. People want to see more gameplay because it's been very scarce, right? It hasn't been really a ton of information for this game. But on the other side, and I'm sure for you, like, did you really need this? Like, you could have just went completely blind and still bought this game and still enjoyed it. But I did think it was a good idea to at least demonstrate some of these features because they are new, they are a little bit different, they are a little bit drastic to what we know about Breath of the Wild, and so it was nice to kind of just see these in action before we actually get the game. As far as the gameplay, as far as what we've seen, looking at the world itself, it looks very similar, right? It's the same place. Nothing really changed, and I'm talking more so of like graphics, gameplay wise, everything looks pretty much the same. Maybe a little bit of the lighting looks a little bit different. Zelda's Link's hair looks a little bit longer. That's it. But for the most part, everything looks the same, which was cool. It's fine. And then when we get to the gameplay, like the nitty gritty parts of it, I thought they were a decent change, right? I think those are things that it's hard to come and say, okay, what can I do to make Breath of the Wild 2, right? Which now we know is Tears of the Kingdom, better, right? And as ambitious as Breath of the Wild was, it's hard for them to like really bring that up. Just like the same situation we talked about with God of War, right? And so these cool features really hone in that gameplay, and it really one eliminates a lot of the things that we had issues with from the first game, but also elevates and increases and really changes like the gameplay loop altogether, right? As far as what I liked about it, I did enjoy the whole hammer, like the fusion thing. I think that's kind of cool.
Hmm.
I get a little weird with things like that because when it comes to crafting, I'm a little like I don't want like, and I saw in the Twitter post too. We were talking about it. I think with Elder Trolls, I don't want to like think, like I don't want to think about what can I do to make this branch, make how do I get to this level? So I need to make this branch go to this rock, so then I could create like some type of like slingshot or something. Like I don't know. I just feel like I don't want it to get too involved where you're building things that you would never think about. But understand the fun aspect to that, where with the like people who actually enjoy creating and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a hit or miss for me on that aspect.
Yeah. I think you're spot on with the crafting. I think people get a little, it deters them a little bit because again, they're like, I don't know what I have to craft. I don't want to have to get like creative to make this thing. But what I think the Fuse is doing is it's creating puzzles within the overworld. They're like mini puzzles if you think about it. It's like, I want to get to the other side of this river. How do I
Right.
get there? Okay, let me make a boat. That could be simple to make.
Sure.
Let me get 3 wood, like they show in the trailer, right? So I don't think it's going to get much more complicated than something like that. Now, if there is a really tall mountain that you really want to get up, and you're like, well, I need like 80 fans to get up this motherfucker, but how do I get? So I could totally see people going in ham and making a giant like airship to get to that place. Like I could totally see that, right? That's gonna be a thing. But I think that's the beauty of Breath of the Wild or this type of world is you just do things at your own pace. If you don't want to
Right.
create this like big, humongous like thing, you don't have to. I think the game's going to do a really good job in making it so if you just want to like just like get to the place, you can do it. You don't have to craft these things. It's going to help you, but I don't think you have to, which I think will help hopefully make you feel a little better.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's gonna be you put what you get what you put into the game, right? If you want
Yes.
to go all out and build things, you can. You can definitely do that. And I can tell you right now, that's gonna be content like online
It's
on
just there's still
social. It's gonna
content
be
happening
so
today.
much content
Yeah.
about this, right? You're gonna see stuff about people building like this ridiculous stuff and things that you would never even think about, right? Or you can just be as basic as you said, like you were saying, and just kind of get just enough to get past the level that you need to. So that's the cool thing about that. I do like that you don't have to, or it seems like you don't have to, but I don't know yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and then real quick, as far as like the ascend feature, right? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The fact that they kind of found an answer to the tedious climbing in the game, which
Yeah.
some people really enjoyed it, but also some people just it was like tiresome. It
It
was like
got annoying after
tedious.
a
It
while.
got
Yeah. You're just
annoying.
like, I just, all right.
This is a cool way to just kind of eliminate that altogether, right? You could climb if you want, or you can just kind of ascend and
You're there.
continue on your way.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think they're going to do a really good job as far as like giving you the flexibility in this world. In the original Breath of the Wild, they had a bunch of shrines. They had like 140 something shrines. Did you need to get the shrines? No. No. Did you get stuff for doing them? Yes. But did you need to do them like all 140? You didn't need to. Like you need to do all those puzzles. When you want to fight Gandorf, right? Calamity Ganon, from the get, you can literally run up to him and just fight him.
And just and just
You're going to get your ass kicked, but it's actually possible to beat him. But obviously, if you go through the game and beat the 4 bosses, it makes it significantly easier. So I think this game's going to do the same, give you that flexibility of how you want to tackle the game, how you want to go through this. And one thing I kind of want to touch before we kind of move on is I like that it didn't show story. I love that. I don't want that story spoiled for me. I don't know what the fuck is happening with the story. I still don't know what the fuck is happening with the story.
Right. Yeah. No, they did, again, they did a great job of just focusing on the gameplay, right?
Right.
Another thing I did like, and we don't talk about this enough, a lot of RPGs like to throw in a bunch of like items that you don't necessarily need in your adventure, right?
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild was the same way, right? You had a bunch of items that you didn't need or care about. How many sticks did you pick up in the game, right? And it's like pointless at some point. This game eliminates that in a sense, right? Where you pick up an eyeball, right? They showed you gameplay of that. You pick up an eyeball, and then you can use that as a crafting tool so that you can use like the honing arrows, or
So
you can
everything
pick
has
up,
purpose to it.
everything has a purpose in the game, and I think that's really cool to really incorporate all the little things that you pick up during the gameplay. And again, crafting, right? You kind of like have to really try to put them together and and just kind of pick and choose what you want to do with it. But there's again there's a purpose for it, and maybe it's for, like you said, there was like a I think there was what was it? I don't know. They used some type of material so that the enemy was like frozen. They used some type of
Yeah, it was
material
called I forget. It was like a squishy thing. I forget the name of it, but yeah, I know what
there.
you're
Right,
talking
and
about.
then
Yeah.
it made the enemy
Jelly, choo
frozen.
choo jelly. That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so many cool things that they added in that aspect. I thought that was really cool. The eyeball, anything. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other things that you can just pick up and just play around with to see what is used for it. So that was cool.
Yeah, I am curious because this I think is the first Zelda game where the sequel to the game or the continuation of the game is in the same overworld.
Right.
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, similar game, same engine, right? They're completely different, but Majora's Mask puts you in a completely different world, right? It wasn't Hyrule; it was a different world. We're going back, like we're saying. So this is like the first true sequel to a Zelda game, which is like kind of uncharted territory, and I'm really excited for it. And I think it's going to feel familiar, but also very fresh at the same time. Do I think this will be a better sequel than God of War 2? I think so.
You think so?
I think so. I think
might-
they're
I
going
might
to
agree
change
with you.
enough to where it doesn't feel that way.
I might agree with you. Chazzy, you mentioned that you didn't watch the gameplay. I know we're talking about it. We're kind of spoiling it for you, but I recommend you don't watch it. I think if you just kind of go blind in there and
Yeah.
just because you're a huge Zelda fan. So again, that was one of my questions to Rob. Like, do you really need something like this? Like, I get
don't-
what they're trying to do, but you don't need it because you're gonna buy the game, you're gonna play it, you're gonna love it. That's the same thing when I did with Resident Evil 4, right? I by no means did I look at any gameplay. I was like, I know I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna enjoy it. So I'd say go in there completely,
Naked, naked and free.
Yeah. Don't go naked. Don't play naked. That's just weird. Just go in there without,
What about just
spoilers.
in your boxers or your underwear, your briefs? Is that still weird? If you play just in your boxer briefs, you know what I'm saying?
I don't
No?
think so. Because
No, it's not
covered.
weird, right?
At that point, you're covered. It's like whatever, But if you're playing, like if you're sitting on your chair butt ass naked playing a game, like that's where it gets a little sketchy.
Okay. Also, I'm trying to share my screen on this new thing. It makes it really weird to share your screen, right? Is it just me or just like you have to? It's like
Do you have to do it that way?
I don't have to do it. It's dumb. They changed StreamYards. It's very very strange that there's not a real easy way to do it. Oh, I just took us out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Weird.
because you can do it. You could do it the same way. You don't have to do that thing.
Okay. Gotcha. I was gonna say I wanted to show you guys the Legend of Zelda OLED model, the Switch. I got it. I pre-ordered it, so I will show you guys once it comes out and show you up close to personal. But yeah, I'm hyped for it. I think it's gonna be pretty cool to play Legend of Zelda on my Legend of Zelda Switch, and I think I'll like it for years to come. I think I got it more as like a piece of for display or something like that for the future.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, Chazzy from the Side Project podcast says, I play completely naked and let my balls control the sticks. One ball per stick.
That's impressive.
That is
I'll tell you
impressive.
right now,
I'm
that's
jealous.
impressive.
I wish I could do that. Moving on to our next news piece of the week. What is the next piece? Oh, this one is going to hit home for you, Kelf. WB's Multiverses beta will close June 24th. Multiverses tweeted out early this week. MVPs, thank you for support during the open beta. The feedback and inspiration has been amazing. Open beta will close June 25th as we prepare for a full launch in early 2024. Multiverses will be back better than ever with new content, features, modes, and more when we return. The game will not be on digital stores April 4th, so it'll be delisted. One big piece. WB has also made it clear that they're not going to give you any refunds for any content purchased during the beta. I'm going to give you the floor here, Kelvin.
Oh, you're killing me, guys. You're killing me.
So, I know you're laughing because we're talking about ball sticks in the chat here. If you guys watch our live show, you can see what's happening right now. We're literally still talking about Chazzy's testicles somehow.
30-year-old men.
Yeah, somehow it happens. Let's see. Somehow every time we're on here, there's a ball, a joke somewhere there. Anyways, yes, Multiverses is going to be gone. How do you feel, Kelv? Do you feel betrayed?
I feel dirty,
bamboozled?
sort of.
Yeah,
bamboozled. I think that's a perfect name. Yeah, I feel bamboozled. I feel like we hyped this game up in the beginning, like, oh, this is gonna be like the shit. This is gonna be dope, and it was for to a certain extent. Yeah, and then content, man, the content wasn't there, and I think that's what really brought a lot of people away from the experience. The game did super well in the beginning when it first came out. Again, first of all, it's open beta still, which I thought it was like done. I didn't know it was still an open beta, but it just feels weird because it's not something that you expect or you see typically for like games as a service. They don't just like, okay, all right, guys, we're leaving for like the rest of the year and we're gonna come back next year better than ever. Like, it just doesn't happen. So now you're leaving a lot of people that play the game, or the few people that have played the game, kind of like in the dark, because you don't know, are they really gonna come back? What content are you gonna provide? Like, you say you're gonna bring back, like, you know, you're gonna come back with more content, you're gonna come back with better netcode, but you're leaving and you're just kind of sprung this on us like the week before you leave. Like, is this really how you do it? So it begs the question, like, are they really gonna come back?
Yeah, I mean, they probably made a decent amount of money on that game. So that is a weird thing. Is it comes to the conversation is, if you're in open beta, should you have microtransactions in the game?
Right.
I don't think you should. I think you should only have in-game currency, like that you earn through battling and stuff like that. You can purchase things. I don't think they should have had like, well, if this is just a beta and obviously it'll come back better, am I still gonna be able to get the things that I got in the normal game?
Yeah, I think they did mention that. Yeah.
Okay.
They did say that. Yeah.
Okay. But still, I paid for that content. Like, I should be able to access it whenever I want. You know?
Right. Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Games as a service, you kind of run that risk. You run a risk of, I'm gonna put this money in my trust in you, in hopes that I get to play this game 2-3 years from now. And
this is why you buy your games physically and not digitally, because you could get just a plug pulled on you. So,
but everything's moving towards the digital version.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to really do that, you know. Games as a service, everyone's trying to kind of be that same model of Fortnite. Everyone's trying to get that Fortnite high, and we've seen countless games as a service fail every single time. What's the other game that has kind of gotten up there with Fortnite?
Not Halo. Not Call of Duty. Well, Call of Duty is also crazy with the microtransactions. Destiny.
I guess you can kind of think of that.
League is pretty League's pretty good about the microtransactions because they mostly stick to skins.
But that game that's been there for years. That's been
before Fortnite. Yeah, you're right. It's not the same thing.
No, I'm talking about games that came out after Fortnite or similar around that same area. That's kind of
Apex does the
trend.
Yeah.
Apex is a great example. There's what my point is. There's not many. There's only very few of them. Plenty of them failed, right? And so, is it really a good service? Is it really a service that people need to kind of jump into the bandwagon? Right?
Yeah, and then you can't really compete with Fortnite because they get all the licensing to everything. Literally anything you could think of, it's in the game. It's so big. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's too big, it can't fail. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, it's one of those things now too where you're putting too much you're betting too much on this service, developers and companies, that you're risking so much, because you're now, if you're a games as a service, you need to have a 10-year plan. You need to have content for at least a year ahead of you, like a year ahead, just to kind of keep up, because otherwise, just like what happened to multiverses, you're just gonna run out, right? There was
Some of
a
Halo.
good
Halo tried
portion.
doing that. Halo tried doing that
Exactly.
shit.
There was a
And
good
what happened?
portion in the beginning of the season, right? Season one for multiverses, where we had like 6 characters come out, right? And then season 2 came out and it was just one character. And then they just couldn't keep up at that point. So companies need to really focus. If they really truly want to do games as a service, they really need to have a plan in place, not just 6 months in. They need to at least have a year and beyond, because there's just no way, and you have to have it at a consistent rate, because there's just no way you can survive. Consumers are trying to grab as much content as possible, and they're just hungry for content every single time. The minute something comes out, they're waiting for the next content to come out. It sucks, honestly.
Interesting. It's like there was a really popular platform game that came out before Multiverses that had a really good plan in place to come out with characters. They called it a Fighter's Pass, and they said you'll get 6 characters, and we'll release them in increments every couple of months, and we'll hype it up. Do you remember that? Do you know what that game is? Do you know what game did that? I can't. I don't. It's not. It can't be the greatest fighting platformer of all time, right? Platform fighter.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
It wouldn't be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, right? No, it wouldn't be that game.
No. Trust me.
See, but that's exactly it. And that's the thing about these platform fighters, right? Is they come out, everyone is on a high of it. They're like, it's the next Super Smash Brothers. It's gonna be just like Smash Brothers, but like different. And then
We said that. Let's be honest. We said something similar to that.
You said that.
Multiverses.
You said that.
Okay. Hang on.
You said that. Who put 100 hours, more than 100 hours into this game? Not me.
Yeah, but I did it for good reasons. It was fun. I was having a great time.
Yeah.
But
You're
prior
fine.
to the game, we were raving that this game was looking pretty good, and we were excited to play it.
Yes. It was exciting. It was cool for the next, but then the fire fizzled out, and then it's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and just play Smash Brothers. That's just what I'm gonna do because that's just a better game. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's I know like people will flame me for that, right? For saying that like you can't just say like I'd rather just play this game. But if that game did it better and it perfected the formula, why am I gonna kind of play like a clone that's trying to be that? Because that's essentially what it's trying to be. It's trying to fit into 2D fighters are different, right? Like Street Fighters, Tekken, Dragon Ball Fighter Z. They all are the same type of game, but they all feel different. They're all kind of different in a sense. They have a different feel. Whereas platform fighters, you need to have like that same feel. It's so weird. There needs to be some type of responsiveness that has to feel the same. Does that make sense to me?
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. But I digress. Hopefully it comes out and maybe they will come back better. Maybe they'll be like, we're releasing every single DC character you could possibly think of. We're having Harry Potter in the game. We're having like 20 billion characters. That's the only way I think it comes back. I think it comes back when it's like, be like, there's going to be a bajillion characters in the game to play as, and you can play as all of them. And I think that's the only way. But we'll see.
Okay, so this I was kind of like focusing on the negative. This could be positive. This could be they're like, all right, you know what? Our numbers are dwindling. We need to restructure, right? And then we need to make sure that we change things up a little bit. So let's leave. Let's kind of back off for a little bit. It sucks the way they did it, but let's back off and see what the content looks like in 2024, right? We bring up as much content as we can. We have the gameplay tidy, nice and tight, more in line to what people want, get all the feedback that we needed, and then just kind of make another re-release of the game. And maybe some people will come back, have positive things to say about it, and they'll stick to it.
Maybe, yeah. Or Nintendo will be like, hey, Super Smash Brothers reboot is coming out, or Super Smash Brothers Melee remake is coming out. Then everyone's just going to
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. The meme writes itself.
Oh, my God,
I could see them doing. I could
I could
totally see them doing that
just to,
shit
like
too.
shit on their parade, dude. Oh God.
It's like we're back, guys. We have like all these credits, and I was like, by the way,
It's like a shadow drop. They just released some special footage. Like, oh my God,
yeah.
terrible.
So that's really it for Multiverses. It'll be done June 24th. So if you played it, I'm sorry, but it will be back better than ever apparently. Let's move on to news number 3 for the week. Ubisoft backs out of E3. We'll make this a quick one. Ubisoft will instead hold their own Ubisoft Forward event in June, part of the Summer Games Fest. While we initially intended to have an official E3 presence, we've made the subsequent decision to move in a different direction, and we'll be holding a Ubisoft Forward Live event on June 12th in Los Angeles. We look forward to sharing more details with our players very soon. Real quick, Elf, what do you think of this? And is it surprising?
It's kind of surprising just because Ubisoft did announce that they were going to be at E3. I sound really stuffy, by the way, so I apologize.
Yeah, you're sick as fuck.
But like, what does this mean for E3, dude? Like, there's been people, like companies leaving left and right. It's almost laughable at this point. Like, does E3 even have a showing at this point?
It's lost all credibility, I guess, is what's happening right now. There's not a real reason for people to stick to E3 because they're like, well, the big 3 aren't going to be there. There's not really a ton of like hype going in it because typically people came because of the big 3. That's what kind of made E3. If you really, really think about it, without the 3 power players, it's just not as hype. It's just not as hype as it would be. Unfortunately, E3 needs the big 3 to succeed.
Unfortunately, man. Yeah, I don't see this going. I can see E3 kind of making an announcement saying, listen, we don't have the stuff to show you at this point. We're gonna have to postpone. We're gonna have to, cancel E3 for this year. And at that point, E3 is gone. At that point, it sucks. But at the same time, it's like, do we need an E3 at this point?
No, people only care about the 3. It needs to turn into something. It needs to be like another, like almost like a PAX East. It needs to be like a developer, like an indie developer type thing, or like a middle grade developer type showing. It just needs to evolve into something else because it just, without those big guys, it doesn't work. The hype level's gone. Plus, like, honestly, like the newer generation probably doesn't give a shit about E3. They're like, what the fuck is E3? I don't know what that shit is. Right.
No, you're right. A lot of people don't even know what E3 is, or at least they don't know what E3 was for us.
Yes, right.
So it's like, why are people talking about this E3 right now? It's like, who cares?
Yeah. If anything, it's just more for us, right? Being nostalgic about it, be like, well, it sucks now, but it's like, it's just the way things are. I guess I don't want to say it's like life, but it's just the way life goes. It's like it's just a rotation of like things just come out and then they're just not good anymore. You can't. It doesn't work with the times.
Right.
So
right.
maybe it'll be reborn into a different iteration. Maybe it'll turn into something else, right?
Yeah, maybe. But I again, right now I don't see E3 going anywhere. If E3 came back and they're like, listen, with the whole Ubisoft announcement thing, they're like, we want to still kind of bring the magic of what E3 used to be. We want to make sure that you guys, know that we are here to stay and all this stuff, and show us something that will make E3 kind of like what it used to be. I don't see that happening, but
No.
Like, do you see them putting out an announcement saying like something, or you think they're just going to put an announcement saying like we're done?
I think they're going to try and do it. I think they're going to, whatever they have.
They're still going to stick with it.
It's going to stick with it. Again, it's ReedPop, which is the same people that put, I think, PAX East, Comic-Con. They do all that kind of stuff. So I don't see them being like, if it's going to make some type of money for us, just keep it going. Like, it's going to be in-person stuff. Remember, they have they did like a weird developer day. They did like a a media day and they did like a demo day or public day. So I think there's still some publishers there that will carry a little bit, but again,
Right.
am I going to tune in? Yes, I think I'll see like what's going on, like what's happening there. But will I be super invested? No, because I
Right.
don't know what's going on. But I think people are going to. I think people are curious. Their curiosity will they'll take them and be like, what is happening?
Right.
So, last quick piece here before we move into our in-game chat is Metal Gear Solid 3 remake reportedly is out next year. It says E3 2023 may host a big reveal.
I don't believe it.
This is from pushsquare.com. A tweet was said by Andy Robinson. MGS3 remake is now a 2024 title, and there is still talk of MGS re-releases of some kind. E3 window was their marketing plan, last I heard.
I'm exhausted at this conversation, dude. I don't know what they're doing. Just fucking release the game. Just show us a trailer, something.
Would you be mad if it was announced at E3? Would you be pissed off at that's where they showed it, or no? You'd be
I
like,
don't really care at the end of the day where it's announced.
okay.
They could just throw it on Twitter and just fucking show it, and I'll be ecstatic. You know.
Yeah, it
Just
doesn't
need
matter
them
where.
to show it.
Yeah.
Just tell me that we're not fucking losing our minds and we're not making this shit up. You know.
So, are you okay with Snake Eater getting a remake before MGS1? Like you're like I'm
Totally. I think arguably MGS3 is my favorite game.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess we'll see E3 2023 if we'll get a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, and I'll fucking lose my lid if that happens. So
I don't know how do you tune in to that? Like where are they gonna show it?
they're just gonna probably just show like there's gonna be like a show. I think it's actually gonna be a show where they just like have fucking presenting to, just like Xbox did their developer direct, whatever. It's probably gonna be like something like that, I would think. So we'll see. We will see. All right, guys, that ends the news for the week. We're gonna move on to in-game chat where me and Kelvin talk about PAX East. So last Sunday, me and Kelvin went to Boston, like we said earlier, and we went and decided this time at PAX East, we wanted to actually, as a gaming duo, interview people and developers and publishers and like actually talk to them, because that was like a dream of ours, actually. To like a goal for the podcast was to interview a developer, and we interviewed a bunch of them, and it was great. We've gone to PAX East in the past, and as just normal attendees, and it was always fun and great. But this time we were on a mission, and we spent the whole entire day there. And we just kind of like went in and just did it. Like we just like went up to people we didn't know and were like, "Hey, do you want to interview with the gaming duo?" And they don't. The thing that's crazy is they don't ask you. They don't ask you.
Like who are you?
Yeah, who are you? Like, what are you doing?
Like what do you do? Like how many followers you have? Like what's your you know, like what's your status on social media? They don't care any about that stuff.
So you just go in, you get your camera, and we just set up shop, and we talked. Kelv, we first stopped by one of the guys, and going into it, how did you feel interviewing these developers? Were you nervous? Were you like on the fence?
I was not as nervous as CT GamersCon when
Okay.
we went there. I think the reason why we attended CT GamersCon was to kind of give us that first exposure of interviewing somebody face to face. We've interviewed plenty of people on our podcast, right? But it's been like this, right? It's been on
Over
screen,
screen.
and you know, it's vastly different in my opinion when you're doing that, as opposed to like being face to face to somebody, and you don't have any notes in front of you. There's nothing to like kind of go by. You're just kind of talking to them, right? And it was a little different at GamersCon because there wasn't anything that, and I'm going to be quite honest, there wasn't anything that really struck me as entertaining or anything that was newsworthy for us or anything that kind of relates to gaming stuff, if that makes sense.
There wasn't
It was
any
gaming
like
stuff,
developers there. It was
there
just like
weren't
vendors
developers.
and like
Yeah.
a tournaments that were happening. That's
Exactly.
really it. Yeah.
And so, it was cool talking to Brian, right? Brian Blackmore. Shout out to Brian Blackmore. He's cool. It was cool talking to Sean again. Like, everyone that's been in our podcast before, we've talked to them. We had a great time and just kind of did a little pretend interview just to kind of get our feet wet. Now, when we went to PAX, that was a different story. That was, we understand what our questions are because we love video games, we play video games, we talk about games all the time, and we have had conversations in the past of like what would be our video game if we were to make one, right? And so things like that we ask ourselves, and I wanted to ask interview actual developers those questions, right? So when you go there and you meet some of them, they're really cool, down to earth people. They just want their games to be exposed. They want their games to be shown and talked about. So they're very open to the idea of interview. And so we talked to them and we literally asked questions that we would normally ask anybody regarding their project, right? Like, what game is this? What, tell us about it. When is it coming out? What platforms are they coming out with? Those are natural things that you would just discuss about, right? And it was just very natural. It was a natural thing to do. It was fun. I had an exciting time just, and another thing to really note, we didn't just go to every single developer. We went to developers that it looked interesting, like their game looked actually interesting, that we would like. It wasn't like we were just trying to expose ourselves and get as much attention as possibly can. It was just more so of like, oh, I like your game, I vibe with that game, I want to talk to you about it, because that's the most genuine conversation you can have.
Right, and that's what it was. It was just like, hey, just give me the information about your game, and I'm interested. I want you to tell me about it so I can show it to the world, because that's why you're here. And it was a very, very nice environment to do that. Like, it was just not stressful at all. Everyone was super nice, even though they had to deal with a million people and put like just their games every single time. Because you think about it, if you're them, you're doing this for 4 days straight of like people coming to your booth, trying your game, asking the same questions to you, and then just like talking to you about asking the same questions about like, when's it come out? When are you doing this? So like, if you put yourself in their shoes, it's kind of like exhausting. Like it's the same thing over and over again.
Draining.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like people are coming to you 24/7, and then you have these two bozos coming into you like, hey, can I interview you? And you're just like, all right, like, yeah, there's like 500 people in front of me, but sure, I'll try to do the best I can. And everyone was super great about it. Everyone was super, like, they were down to earth. Like I said, they were willing to do it. They had like a really good, like, I don't know what's the word, but they had a really good outlook in it. Everything was like positive.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone at one point we asked. Majority of the time, the people at the booth weren't necessarily the developers. They were either employees of the developer or they were helping out that booth at the time. But what would happen is like, hey, do you guys mind if we do an interview about the game? And they would get the person the actual like the lead of the game, and he'd be like, hold on, let me grab. I think he went to go grab some. Let me call him real quick. Tell him, and he literally called the guy from like wherever he was, and like he came and just like told us about the game. Like, it was great. Yeah. I love that. Everyone was just so easy to talk to, and everyone was open to do that. It wasn't like, oh my god, I got another interview with another fucking guy. I mean, at one point we had Audio Technica stop us. Like, there was a guy, like a popular headphone company, for like audio. We're just like, hey, like, can I ask you about your rig? And then we ended up like, hey, do you want to do an interview? Let's tell us about your rig and tell about the gaming headsets. And they did it. So if you guys ever want to do that, it's easy.
It is.
It's easy,
and it's cool to just talk to developers, and we didn't just talk to developers. Like, it's crazy. Like, I interviewed someone from Logitech, like, and we talked about the Logitech G Cloud, right? Like, that's crazy that we got our hands on with it. We have our personal impressions. You guys can check that out now on social and on YouTube.
Yeah,
and it was really cool. It was really fun. Like you said, like, not just like developers, but just like companies there that are just like willing to talk to people because that's what they're there for, And at one point there's times where, so each developer has a booth that's strictly for media. Mind you, we're not technically media. We didn't have like a media badge, but we looked official apparently. And everyone's like, oh yeah, like, you guys can, play in the media, booth if you want, so that way you don't have to wait in line. We're like, Yeah.
Bet.
Like,
Yeah,
let's
like
go.
bet. All right.
So it's cool.
One developer that kind of like stuck out to me was Mythic Protocol.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't have the name off the top of my head, but the developer he went in depth to explain his game. He also said like we have the Steam Deck version of the game ready for you if you want to play that, or you can like we'll set you up here, and they walk you through the game. They're like they really hold your hand as like if you have any questions about it, like this is what you do, this is how you navigate. So like having that person really explain to you about the game was really nice, and he gave us like really interesting swag. Like he gave us a bag, and the bag had a pin. It had little candies in it, and the most interesting thing in this bag, which it was, I think it was a genius marketing tactic, was he gave us coffee beans. Coffee beans.
What's the strategy behind that, you think?
You wake up in the morning, you think about the game. It also has and it's memorable. It's if you think about it, coffee beans is a very strange thing to give someone if you think about it, like especially whole beans for a game. But maybe they're like, we want you to stay up late playing this game. Here's some coffee to help you play. Something like that.
We want you to, on your in the morning, just grab your coffee and play some Mystic Protocol.
Some Mystic Protocol, and there was also a pin. I think the pin's back where I know you have in your pin collection.
I have my
so
pin,
there was definitely some really cool swag along with it, which was awesome. Which they didn't have to give it to us, but it was like, here you go, here's a nice goodie bag of like all of our shit. Please buy our fucking game. Is basically what he was saying. So that I think that was pretty cool. But everyone's super nice. I can't stress enough how nice everyone was. And it was humble.
And then there was a lot of, as far as the games go, there was a lot of variety, right? A lot of games that were in a better place than others, I think, right?
Yeah.
There were games that were, you can tell they were almost close to finishing. They were released already. They were, pretty well finished. And there were other games that still
Not so
need
much.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you could tell that this is, still in open beta or in alpha phase, whatever it was. And yeah, but again, there's a variety of games that are there. And that's the cool thing about it. It's like there's developers there that are just trying to like, show their game. There's games that we've played, like Gigabash was one that a highlight that was a fun game. I didn't get to try it, but you did.
Yeah, it's very fun.
And again, that's also on our social right now. You can check it out. It was fun. It looked fun, and the guy was super awesome. The guy was really cool.
Yeah, Gigabash. I remember that. Gigabash. Yeah, exactly. So I should have asked him where he got his jacket. It was a custom Gigabash jacket.
Cool. Yeah.
So, I really enjoyed the conversation because he clearly was excited about his game. Yeah. That's what we do, right? We want to talk video games. That's what we're here for. And like you highlighted, there was developers that were tiny, 1-2 person kind of gig, and then we had Nintendo there. We had Cult of the Land there, Devolver. We had Devolver there.
Yeah.
And then the thing about PAX East is it's kind of a weird convention in a sense, where you have a little bit of everything there.
Yeah.
You have your indie games. You have your big developers. Like I said, we have Nintendo with Pokemon. They were doing like a Pokemon card, like show and tell, like kind of like how to play the game. I was pissed because we got there a little too late for us to actually.
Too late. We were 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the whole showcase was.
Yeah, they like ended. Cut. Yeah. Speaking of showcases too, we saw Final Fantasy 16 showcase. Yeah. Like we actually saw a panel. Not even a panel. They showed new gameplay like that's never been seen before, and had an interview with a developer. We didn't personally interview, but the panel was like interview with a developer. And it was amazing to see it like actually be in person when new gameplay or a new trailer of a game gets dropped.
Like even before the public eye, I think they released it as we were watching it as well.
Yeah,
but like we got the hands on sort of because like it was just like right there in our face as opposed to them posting on social and all that stuff. Like we saw it technically first, but it was cool to see. And it was funny because you're like, we were in line for probably like 25 minutes, maybe half hour.
Yeah, I would say
that
half
line
hour
was
No, we were in line for at least a half an hour. Yeah. At the very minimum half hour. Yeah, that's what you said.
And we were like, what do you think they're going to show? And Rob's like, oh, they're just gonna have him talk about the game and talk about the land and all that stuff. I'm like, what if they show a new trailer? What if they show this? What if they show that? He's like, nah, it's not gonna be like that. Literally everything that I said, it was just like new trailer, more gameplay. Like you're just
Story
like it was
elements,
like three
everything.
different trailers that they showed. It was like it was great. It was they gave us swag too. They gave us a fucking a tote
The
bag and
the,
shit.
the Final Fantasy 13 bag, yeah, that was sick. But yeah, it was PAX East. If you haven't gone, it's a great convention. It's great. It has everything you want. It does have vendors, but the vendors were a little on the small side this year compared to other years, which I actually appreciated. I like that the vendors were kind
Yes.
of like kept to a minimum. They focused more on the games. There was a lot of tabletop stuff.
Hmm.
And again, it's tabletop, indie, big name publishers, and then you have the gaming PC stuff like the peripherals. Like you have your Corsair, you have your
Right.
Asus there, or you have a bunch of stuff there that are specifically geared toward gamers. But it is in fact a gamer con and a celebration of gaming. I enjoyed it, and again, it was super. It was nice going into it as almost like a media, right? It was
Yeah.
it was it was kind of like eye opening in a sense to be like you have a different perspective of these devils because you're technically working. We were working too. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like we were just like
Technically. Yeah.
technically we were working. I didn't get paid for it, but we were working. And yeah, the whole experience was just awesome. We got to meet awesome people. And yeah, I would do it again. It was great.
Yeah, I think it's a thing that we should continue doing. And did you buy anything there besides the Devil May Cry pin? Like legit question, I don't remember.
So a couple of things, a little show and tell. I showed you the coffee beans. I bought the Devil May Cry pin, which is right here. So there's the Devil May Cry pin I bought. So like I said, they did have vendors, but very small. You could see this little sword spins. There you go.
That's cool.
And we got this for free too. This is
Yeah,
a
that was
swag
a lifesaver, by the way.
from AMD, and it's like a little sling. It's freaking awesome. I love this thing. It's great. Lots of good swag. Honestly, I think PAX East has some of the best swag I've seen at a convention, like free swag that's actually useful.
It's funny because I remember we've been to PAX like what three? This is our fourth time, maybe three times. I don't know. I think in the beginning, I remember us talking about it, and we're like, it wasn't that great. We didn't like it that much because at the time we weren't really into indies, and we thought it was gonna be more like you saw
Bigger.
Square Enix
Yeah.
and Nintendo and Sony, and they were there at times, but this was more dedicated to indies, and we knew that, but we just didn't know to what extent. And so there were times in the past where we're like, yeah, this is it's not as all that it's hyped up to be. But I don't know. I have a like you said, I have a different perspective this time around because coming into it as a gaming duel, coming into this as like, yeah, we want to talk to indies. We want to see what you guys have to talk about. I think it changed our perspective. Definitely.
Yeah. I would say as a convention, like don't get me wrong, I go to Comic Con every single year. I literally go there every single year, but it is very, 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 very vendor heavy. The whole show floor is basically a vendor.
It's a vendor. Yeah,
It's a vendor.
whole
It's what
vendor.
it is. And that's you go for to see the cosplays and you go there to buy a bunch of nerdy shit. Like that's and I like that PAX really focused, honed in on the developer and being able to play the game. Like you were able to play a lot of games. Like if you want hands on indie games, that's the convention to go to. Like it
Oh
was
yeah.
wild. You
And
couldn't.
some of the games, like let's highlight some of the games that you like. That you played Gigabash, you like that. Anything else that kind of stood out to you?
I liked the Protocol game. I liked Mystic Protocol. I think that was really fun. It was like an over the top kind of like roguelike. There again, roguelike games were kind of there's a ton of roguelike games. That genre is really just has popped off.
Yeah.
I know you played like a game that was I forget the name. Was it Primal Instinct or something like that? Do you remember the name of it?
That sounds right. Primal Instinct.
Primal Fury or something like that.
It was okay. That was one of the games that I think needed a lot of work.
Yeah, it was. You could tell it's early, and it looked like it was
Yeah,
just
there
like
was
one or
still
two guys doing
early
it.
phase, but it had potential. It kind of reminded me of Dino Crisis. It kind of reminded me of Resident Evil. So it was
Sure.
kind of more of like the horror side of things. But it was weird because it was horror based, and even the developer told us that too. I think his name was Sean, and but I was in the jungle, bright daylight. It just didn't feel like I was in a like scary
I,
environment,
I
you know.
I do remember that when they saw the raptor, and then you're like walking around, like, you're gonna follow this raptor, and it's gonna lead you to a T-Rex. And what happened? There was a T-Rex, and
It was
they were
T-Rex.
running away from T-Rex. So,
Yep.
yeah,
And then there was another game that we didn't get to interview the developer. I forget the name of it. Do you remember? It was like really cool. It was like one of the cooler games. It was like a side scroller.
I don't remember the name of the game, but I know what you're talking about. If I could
We have
just,
footage for it, but we don't have anything
yeah,
to.
yeah. So again, there's just so much there that it's really hard to pinpoint exactly. There's so many games. There's so many games, and it's impossible. Like, to be honest, if you wanted to interview every single developer there, you need like a 4-day pass to go through. It's wild.
We
It
only had a
is-
1 day pass.
and we had one, which is not enough. I would say next time if we were to do it, we probably need a 2-day to just like go and just run
I
through
think
everything.
2 day max because it's a good. Like we did cover a lot of ground for 1 day.
Yeah,
I think for 2 days, I think we would cover majority, if not all of it, after that.
yeah, exactly. So I think for next time, definitely a 2-day pass, get a hotel, get the footage and stuff like that, and really hone in on that. But it was great to get that experience to actually interview these indies devs and showcase some of the games, which we will have on our social. We'll have the interviews and stuff like that, and it really got our interview chops going. You know, I feel like we did pretty good for interview for not.
And that's another thing. Yeah, for not interviewing people live, you know, or face to face. I think we did a really damn good job. I think we really nailed the interview side of things, and we asked questions that were straight to the point, and things that we would want to know about the game. Our interviews weren't long; they were like less than 3 minutes, but
Yeah.
it gave you the stuff and information that you needed.
Exactly, and it invites the potential of having more interviews in the future, right? So
Exactly.
I would do it again. Fun, PAX East, go. We had a great time, and yeah, I mean that's really it, man. I liked our experience there, and showed that we can do the interview thing.
I should have bought. I couldn't because I didn't have my size, but I should have bought the jacket.
Yeah,
The PAX jacket. You didn't like it, huh? You know, it wasn't.
it was okay. I would have worn it. Obviously, it would have done it.
I
but
thought it was. I thought it was cool. It had like the PAX logo behind it in the back, and it had like a bunch of like cool little designs on it. It was cool.
It's so funny, like what you think is cool to purchase versus what I think is cool to purchase. Like you wanted the jacket, I wanted a sword.
So,
yeah, you know what I mean. So it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
one of those things where, yeah, like the vendors that were there were really cool. Like we saw like custom GameCube controllers that were literally
Yeah.
painted after the characters from the game. They were a bit on the pricey side. I'll be honest. They were like $160 each, which
180,
is
160,
like
yeah.
I'm like I don't use a controller that much.
But
to
they also had
justify it.
custom pins, and they were reflective of the controllers that they had. So
bought.
I didn't buy the controller, but I bought the fucking pin, and it was
You still
great,
supported
know?
them in some way because you like their art. So
Yep.
that's what it is. It's all about like they're promoting their brands, and they do it in a way where they're inviting. And there was never. I think there was one brand or one developer that was. I'm not going to say the name of the developer, but they
Sure,
were kind
sure.
of iffy. Like
Okay.
they were kind of rude and weren't really acknowledging me to do an interview there because I was clearly obviously there wanting to ask them a question and stuff. But
I remember that.
yeah, I'm not gonna say the name of the developer, but again, those are things that some people are just gonna be like, guess what happened? You don't get your game showcase. So
Right. So
you know, whatever. Overall, fantastic experience. Loved it.
yeah. We'll do it again for sure.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Gaming Duo podcast. Again, the podcast will not cease to exist. We are still going to be giving you content. It just will be a little different. I hope you will tune in for those episodes. We'll have more info when the first episode does air. Like I said, it'll probably be next week. And again, it's going to be that nice curated content. And it's still going to have me and Kelvin giving you a conversation and have that banter. But little nicer packaged, you know. It might be shorter, it might be just like 20-30 minute video or
Right.
a conversation, but it'll be something that's easily digestible and informative for you, and I promise you will like it, and I hope you like it.
Yes. And then, just let us know what you think in the comments when you watch it. We really appreciate it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Chazzy, thank you for the heart you too, man. Always, guys. If you haven't gone to the Side Project podcast, please take a look. This man covers movies, cosplay, video games. He has a show on Anime Fire called Anime Talks, where he literally interviews some awesome cosplayers, not cosplayers, voice actors from your favorite animes. He's had Vegeta on there. He's had Rock Lee on there. Like, go watch that. So again, it is Side Project Podcast. It is a visual show, so I highly recommend watching the video for it. Again, this man has the best interviews in the in the whole podcast world. I don't know how to say that. It's
Also, his music video.
Oh, that was fire! The Power Rangers,
for our
yeah.
Power Rangers Cavaliers. I'm losing my
Cavaliers.
voice now.
Hell
But,
yeah.
dude! It is impeccable. I recommend you check that out.
Oh, it's
Definitely
so
go to
catchy.
stage.
I was like, yeah, go. I was
It's
just like,
fucking great. I'm so happy that I'm a part of that whole thing because it's such a cool thing to be a part of.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty jelly. I was just like, damn, because I literally have Power Rangers behind me. Like,
Yeah,
that's so sick.
I'm like the wrong person to be in it because I'm not a huge Power Rangers fan. I am, but not really.
because you have a sexy voice. That's
Yeah,
why.
that's what it is. But I like this kind of raspy. You like this raspy voice that I have right
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean? It's nice. But yeah, so definitely check that out because that's a dope as fucking music trailer. So check it out.
And then also shout out to the Elder Trolls. Thank you guys for tuning into these things. We appreciate it. It's called the Elder Trolls podcast. They are hilarious. They just had an episode where they talked about pretend consoles that shouldn't exist. And it's
hysterical,
ridiculous. It's these guys are hilarious, and there's always a story in there that you're gonna get laughs out of it. So check them out. So those are two really good podcasts that
And
we
just
can
their
highly
banter, like just the story that they had, where they I think was who was it that went to like a
Daniel. I was Daniel, and I
it
think
was Daniel. I think it was Daniel.
and,
His
I
whole
think
his
Nate
whole
was
like
there too.
restaurant, his whole restaurant thing, fucking
Just a
hysterical.
bizarre
I was
restaurant.
just, like,
See, exactly.
bizarre-ass
Go listen to the
experience.
episode, and you'll see.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Go buy our merch. It is on our website, thegamingduopod.com, and you can get it there. You can get a sweatshirt, you can get a hoodie, you can get a mug. The stuff's really cool and comfy. I like it.
And the
I
more
rock it.
more you buy, the more designs we make. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we'll make
exactly.
more
Buy
designs.
shit. We
and
get some cool shit coming
you know.
out. So
Yeah.
that's all I got. Calvin, anything else before we leave?
No, man. Again, thank you guys for everything, for like just tuning in live with us. You know, I mean, we're not going to be really live anymore, but I hope you guys still tune into our content later on. Again, we are not leaving. This doesn't mean that, you know, we're shitting the tanker right now. We're doing terrible right now. It just means that we're trying
Shitting
to
the
change.
tanker. Put on a t-shirt, shitting the
Yeah,
tanker.
shitting the tanker. That's again.
Yeah,
you know what I
let's
mean?
see.
We're just trying to change things up because we want to make the best content possible for you guys.
And with that, we will see you guys next week with our next piece of content. See you there.
See ya.